The massive hangar of Earth Defense Station Omega hung in an uncomfortable silence as Commander Sarah Chen stared at what the Vanguard Alliance called a diplomatic gift. Her reflection in the scared hull plating showed carefully controlled neutrality, masking the anger simmering beneath. Beside her, Dr. Raj Patel ran his diagnostic tablet over yet another mysterious gash in the vessel's exterior, his usual enthusiasm notably absent. "They're not even trying to hide the insult," Raj muttered, keeping his voice low enough that the hovering alien diplomats couldn't hear. "This isn't just decommissioned, it's deliberately sabotage." The ship before them stretched nearly half a kilometer in length, its once proud silhouette now marred by missing armor plates and exposed systems. What the Vanguard claimed was a retired Sentinel-class destroyer looked more like something salvaged from a battlefield. Or worse, something that had been methodically stripped of anything useful. High Emissary Excelthor descended from the observation deck on streams of artificial gravity, his ceremonial robes rippling in ways that seemed to defy physics. The Vanguard representative's four eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Sarah had learned indicated smug satisfaction. "Commander Chen, does Earth's first interstellar warship meet with your approval?" The universal translator couldn't quite mask the condescension in his tone. "We selected something appropriate for your civilization's current technological understanding." Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile, though her fingers twitched slightly. She'd spent 15 years working her way up through Earth's fledgling space force, proving herself against every skeptic who thought humanity wasn't ready for the stars. Now she stood before aliens who saw her species as children playing with toys they didn't understand. "The Vanguard Alliance's generosity honors us," she replied, the practiced words tasting bitter. "Though I admit, some of our engineers are concerned about the vessel's condition." Raj's tablet chirped, drawing both their attention. The engineer's eyes widened as he studied the readings, then narrowed thoughtfully. He glanced at Sarah, giving her the subtle hand signal they'd developed over years of working together. "There's more here than meets the eye." "Ah yes, the damage." Selthor waved a dismissive hand. "Unfortunately, our decommissioning protocols require the removal of certain sensitive technologies. The ship's basic framework remains sound, though I understand if it proves beyond your current capabilities to restore." Sarah caught Raj's eye again. The engineer was practically vibrating with contained excitement now, though he kept his face carefully neutral. She'd seen that look before, usually right before he proved everyone wrong about what humans could achieve. "We'll need time to properly assess the gift," Sarah said carefully. "Would the Vanguard object to our engineers conducting a thorough survey?" "By all means." Zelthor's membrane-like inner eyelids flickered. "Amusement. Take all the time you require. The Vanguard Council expects it will be several of your years before the vessel achieves even basic functionality." After the alien delegation departed, Sarah turned to Raj. "All right, what did you find?" The engineer's professional demeanor vanished, replaced by barely contained glee. "They think they stripped this ship down to nothing, but they don't understand how their own technology actually works. Look at these power readings. The core isn't dead, it's in hibernation. And these structural alloys, they're self-repairing at the molecular level, they just need the right stimulus." He pointed to various sections of the ship. "They removed all their fancy control systems, thinking we'd never be able to replace them. But our primitive neural interfaces might actually work better. They're so dependent on their ultra-specialized technology that they can't imagine simpler solutions." Sarah studied the broken vessel with new eyes. "How long to get it spaceworthy?" 3 months, maybe 4. But Raj's grin turned predatory. "Give me 6 months and a free hand with modifications, and I'll give you something that will redefine what a warship can be." They handed us a blank slate, thinking it was trash. "Let's show them what humanity does with second chances." Sarah nodded slowly, a matching smile spreading across her face. "I'll get you your 6 months. And Raj, let's keep our progress reports to the Vanguard. Appropriately modest." As they walked away to begin organizing repair teams, Sarah glanced back at the abandoned ship. The Vanguard thought they were teaching humanity a lesson in humility. Instead, they'd given them exactly what they needed: a challenge. She already had a name picked out for the vessel. They would call it the Prometheus, humanity's gift from the gods, and a reminder of what happened when immortals underestimated human potential. The Prometheus lay dormant in its repair cradle, surrounded by scaffolding and work lights that made its scarred hull gleam like wet obsidian. Dr. Raj Patel stood in what would become the ship's nerve center, surrounded by holographic displays showing system diagnostics and modification plans. Around him, his engineering team worked with quiet intensity, replacing alien interfaces with human-designed alternatives. Dr. Patel. Lieutenant Maria Santos called from inside an access tunnel. "You need to see this." Raj ducked through the low opening, following the beam of Maria's flashlight. She pointed to what looked like a crystalline growth spreading through the ship's power conduits. The alien techs tried to disable the power distribution network by introducing these crystal suppressors. "But look what happens when I do this." She pressed her diagnostic tool against the crystal. Instead of the expected dead readings, energy patterns rippled through the structure. These aren't suppressors. They're amplifiers. The Vanguard's engineers are so specialized, they didn't recognize that reversing the polarity would turn their sabotage into an advantage. Raj finished, already running calculations. How many of these did they install? Throughout the entire power grid. They thought they were crippling the ship, but they've actually given us a way to boost power transmission efficiency by about 300%. Similar discoveries kept happening across the ship. The Vanguard had approached decommissioning with the same narrow specialization they applied to everything else. They removed their advanced targeting computers, never imagining that humans would replace them with simpler but more adaptable systems. They stripped out critical control interfaces, not realizing that humanity had been developing neural link technology that would work even better. Commander Chen visited regularly, watching the transformation with carefully contained excitement. "How are we doing on time?" she asked, studying a holographic overview of their progress. "Ahead of schedule," Raj replied. The Vanguard's weekly inspections actually helped. They're so convinced we're struggling that they've stopped looking closely at what we're really doing. "Watch this." He pulled up a simulation showing power flows through the modified crystal network. "We've managed to integrate their suppressor crystals with our quantum field generators. The power core isn't just back online. It's operating at 400% of its original capacity. And that's just the beginning." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Show me." Raj led her through the ship, pointing out modifications that would have made any Vanguard engineer's inner eyelids flutter in horror. They'd replaced delicate automated repair systems with robust mechanical alternatives that any human technician could maintain. The overly complex bridge controls had been swapped for intuitive neural interfaces derived from gaming technology. Every essential system the Vanguard had removed had been replaced with something simpler, stronger, and more adaptable. "But here's the real breakthrough," Raj said, leading her to the weapons bay. "Remember those crystal suppressors? Turns out they don't just work on power distribution. We've modified them to amplify energy weapons too. And since we already had to rebuild the targeting systems," he activated a demonstration sequence. Holographic projections showed the ship's new weapons capabilities, far beyond anything the Vanguard would expect from primitive humans. "They gave us a broken sword," Sarah mused, watching the simulated weapons fire. "We're turning it into Excalibur." "More than that," Raj replied. "Every limitation they tried to impose became an opportunity. Their sabotage became our inspiration. The Prometheus isn't just being repaired. It's evolving into something entirely new, a hybrid of their advanced materials and our practical engineering." The project continued in secret, hidden behind a carefully maintained facade of slow progress and humble reports to the Vanguard. The aliens' weekly inspections became an exercise in misdirection, with carefully staged scenes of primitive repairs masking the true extent of the ship's transformation. 1 month before their self-imposed deadline, Sarah called a meeting of the core team. The holographic displays showed their true progress. A warship unlike anything in the galaxy, combining the best of human and alien technology in ways neither civilization had imagined possible. The Vanguard expects us to spend years just making this ship spaceworthy, she said, looking around at her team. Instead, we've created something that will rewrite their understanding of human potential. The question is, how do we reveal it? Raj shared a look with Maria and the other engineers. Maybe we don't have to, he suggested. Let them keep underestimating us. The Prometheus can be our ace in the hole, ready to prove humanity's worth when the moment is right. Sarah nodded slowly, a predatory smile spreading across her face. Keep up the act then. Let them think their gift is still teaching us our place in the galaxy. Sooner or later, they'll learn what happens when you give humans a challenge and tell them it's impossible. As if in agreement, the ship's power core pulsed, sending waves of energy through the crystal network that made the entire vessel hum with contained power. The sound reminded Raj of a sleeping predator, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal its true nature to an unsuspecting galaxy. High Emissary Sulphur's inspection of the Prometheus was proceeding exactly as planned, which meant everything was going terribly, visibly wrong. Commander Sarah Chen watched with carefully concealed satisfaction as her crew enacted their now familiar performance. "My deepest apologies, Emissary," she said, gesturing to a carefully staged arrangement of dismantled components. "We're still struggling to understand the basic principles of your drive systems. Perhaps if the Vanguard could spare a technical advisor." The alien diplomat's inner eyelids flickered with barely concealed disdain. "The Council maintains that your species must progress at its own pace, Commander. Though I must admit, even we expected marginally more progress after 5 months. A thunderous clang echoed through the hull, followed by the sound of cursing. Right on cue, Raj emerged from an access panel, covered in harmless but impressive-looking lubricant. "Commander, we've lost alignment in the port gravitational compensators again." The lighting in the section dimmed dramatically, an effect achieved through precise manipulation of the crystal network they'd actually mastered months ago. Zelthor's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of resignation. "Perhaps we should conclude today's inspection," the alien suggested. "I wouldn't want to distract your crew from their important work." After the Vanguard delegation departed, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Outstanding performance, everyone. Especially you, Raj. The lubricant was a nice touch." The engineer grinned, wiping the harmless substance from his hands. "I'm just glad they never think to ask why we keep working on systems we supposedly can't understand. Speaking of which, we've made a breakthrough with the quantum entanglement drive." Deep in the ship's secure engineering lab, Raj pulled up the real status displays. The holographic readouts showed systems far beyond anything the Vanguard would believe humans capable of creating. "We cracked their quantum field mechanics," he explained. "Their drive system uses quantum entanglement for faster-than-light travel, but they overcomplicated it. Look at all these safety interlocks and redundancies." Maria Santos, now their resident expert in hybrid propulsion, pulled up a comparison diagram. "They're so afraid of quantum uncertainty that they try to control every variable. We took a different approach." The display showed their modified drive system, streamlined, elegant, and far more powerful than the original design. "Instead of fighting quantum uncertainty, we embrace it. The system adapts to quantum fluctuations in real time, using them to enhance performance rather than trying to suppress them." "How much faster is it?" Sarah asked, studying the readings. "About 3 times faster than their standard drives," Raj replied. "But more importantly, it's more maneuverable. The Vanguard builds their ships like cruise liners, all about smooth, controlled movement. We've made the Prometheus handle like a fighter jet." Sarah nodded approvingly. "And the other systems?" "Better than we hoped," Maria answered. "The crystal network doesn't just amplify power. It learns. Each time we run a system test, the efficiency improves. It's like the ship is evolving. A junior engineer burst into the lab, excitement overriding protocol. Dr. Patel, the weapons test results. You need to see this. The data streaming across the holographic displays made even Sarah's careful composure slip. The Prometheus's hybrid weapon systems weren't just more powerful than standard Vanguard designs. They were fundamentally different. By combining human targeting algorithms with modified crystal amplifiers, they created weapons that could adapt to enemy defenses in real time. They'll never expect this, Raj said softly. Their entire combat doctrine is based on overwhelming force through superior technology. They'd forgotten that warfare is about adaptation, about outthinking your opponent. Sarah studied the test results, her mind already calculating strategic implications. How long until we're ready for a full systems test? 2 weeks, Raj replied. We can. The station's alert klaxons cut him off. Red emergency lighting flooded the lab as Admiral Joe's voice echoed through the communication system. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. Repeat. All personnel to battle stations. Sarah was already moving. Raj, what's the Prometheus's actual status? We've tested everything in simulation, but we haven't had a chance to. Yes or no, Doctor? Can she fight? Raj exchanged quick glances with his team, then straightened. Yes, Commander. She can fight. Then it looks like the galaxy's about to learn what humanity can do with a little scrap metal and determination. Sarah activated her neural link, connecting to the ship's systems. Sound General Quarters. I want all crew at their stations in 5 minutes. It's time to show the Vanguard exactly what they gave us. As emergency crews scrambled to their positions, the Prometheus hummed to life. The crystal network pulsed with contained power, and the hybrid systems came online one by one. On the surface, the ship still looked like a patched-together wreck, exactly as the Vanguard expected. But beneath that carefully maintained deception lurked something unprecedented. A warship that combined the best of two civilizations in ways neither had imagined possible. The time for hiding their true capabilities was over. Whatever threat had triggered the station's alarms was about to discover exactly what happened when you pushed humanity to prove itself. The command center of Earth Defense Station Omega was chaos when Commander Sarah Chen arrived. Admiral Joe stood at the central holographic display, his weathered face illuminated by the red emergency lighting. Rogue mining drones, he explained without preamble. An automated fleet went haywire near the Jupiter colonies. They've destroyed 2 cargo ships already. The Vanguard defense fleet is 3 hours out, and we've got nothing else in range that can intercept. Sarah straightened. We have the Prometheus, sir. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. That wreck, the Vanguard gave us. I thought it was months away from being operational. Permission to demonstrate otherwise, sir. Zhao studied her face for a long moment, then nodded sharply. Show me. The Prometheus's true startup sequence was nothing like the sluggish, struggling performance they'd shown the Vanguard. The crystal network surged to life, sending pulses of power through systems that had been secretly perfected over months of hidden work. The neural interface connected Sarah directly to the ship's consciousness, feeding tactical data directly into her mind. By the stars, Zhao breathed, watching the real status displays. What have you people built? Something new, Sarah replied, feeling the ship's power thrumming through the neural link. Request permission to launch. Sir. Granted. And Chen, give them hell. The Prometheus burst from the station's repair cradle like a predator unleashed. On the bridge, Sarah's crew operated with practiced precision, their neural interfaces connecting them to systems that responded with inhuman speed. Multiple hostile contacts detected, Maria reported from the tactical station. 17 mining drones, heavily armed and operating on corrupted protocols. They're targeting the colony's atmospheric processors. Through the neural link, Sarah felt the ship's weapons charging. Hybrid systems that combine Vanguard power with human ingenuity. The crystal network pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. "Show me their attack pattern," she ordered. The tactical display bloomed with data. The mining drones moved with mechanical precision, their programming making them predictable. Standard Vanguard doctrine would approach this as a head-on engagement, overwhelming the targets with superior firepower. Sarah smiled. Time to show the galaxy how humans fought. Helm, plot, intercept course. But first, she sent commands through the neural link. The Prometheus's hybrid drive engaged, manipulating quantum fields in ways the Vanguard had never imagined. Space itself seemed to ripple around them. High Emissary Xulthor's voice crackled over the emergency channel. "Commander Chen, return to the station immediately. Your vessel is not prepared for combat operations. The Vanguard fleet will handle this situation when they arrive." Sarah muted the channel. Status of the quantum drive. Operating at peak efficiency, Raj reported from engineering. Crystal network is adapting to usage patterns. We're actually gaining power. Perfect. Let's introduce ourselves. The Prometheus dropped out of quantum space directly in the mining drone's path. For a moment, the corrupted machines seemed to hesitate, their sensors struggling to identify this strange hybrid of human and Vanguard technology. That moment was all Sarah needed. "Weapons free," she commanded. "Show them what we've learned." The ship's hybrid weapons opened up, each shot guided by targeting systems that combined human intuition with alien precision. The crystal network amplified their power far beyond what the Vanguard had thought possible. The first drone disappeared in a flash of quantum energy. The remaining drones turned to engage, their mining lasers reconfigured into crude but powerful weapons. They attacked with machine-like coordination, exactly as their programming dictated. But the Prometheus moved like nothing they could have been programmed to expect. Sarah guided the ship through maneuvers that would have torn a standard Vanguard vessel apart, the hybrid systems adapting and improving with each passing second. Crystal network efficiency increasing, Raj reported excitedly. "The more we use the systems, the better they perform. It's like the ship is learning." 3 more drones fell to precisely targeted shots. The others broke formation, their corrupted programming struggling to adapt to this unprecedented threat. The Prometheus pursued relentlessly, its weapons finding gaps in their defenses that no purely Vanguard or human system could have exploited. Through the neural link, Sarah felt the ship's growing power. The crystal network hummed with energy, turning the vessel into something that transcended its origins. Not just a repaired wreck or a hybrid of technologies, but something entirely new. On the emergency channel, she could hear the Vanguard representatives watching in stunned silence as their gift demonstrated capabilities their own ships couldn't match. The last drone fell to a shot that curved through quantum space itself, guided by targeting algorithms that rewrote themselves in real time. "Threat eliminated," Maria reported calmly. "All colonial facilities secure." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Signal the station. The Prometheus is ready to return to dock. And this time, let's not bother hiding what she can really do." As they turned back toward Earth Defense Station Omega, she could imagine the reports already racing toward the Vanguard Council. They had given humanity a broken warship, expecting it to teach them humility. Instead, it had become the prototype for a new era in space combat, one that proved humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, but their ability to adapt, improvise, and overcome. The observation deck of Earth Defense Station Omega offered a perfect view of the Prometheus as it hung in space, no longer pretending to be a broken relic. The ship's hull still bore its battle scars, but now they looked like badges of honor rather than signs of neglect. Below the observation deck, a delegation from the Vanguard Council stood in uncharacteristic silence as they watched human technicians openly working on systems their own engineers had declared impossible to salvage. High Emissary Xulthor's inner eyelids hadn't stopped flickering since the battle footage had been confirmed as authentic. "Impossible," he muttered for perhaps the dozenth time. "The power readings alone should have exceeded your theoretical limits." Dr. Raj Patil offered helpfully, unable to completely hide his satisfaction. That's the interesting thing about theoretical limits. They only apply if you follow conventional thinking. Commander Sarah Chen watched the exchange with carefully maintained professionalism, though her eyes sparkled with barely concealed amusement. The past week had seen a complete reversal in the Vanguard's attitude toward human technological capabilities. What had begun as a patronizing inspection had turned into something approaching a scientific conference. Your modifications to the quantum drive alone. One of the Vanguard engineers gestured at the technical displays. We had hundreds of safety systems in place to prevent exactly what you've achieved. The computational power required to maintain quantum stability at those levels is much lower than you'd think. Maria Santos interrupted, pulling up their actual control systems. You tried to control every quantum variable. We built systems that adapt to quantum uncertainty instead. Less powerful, but far more efficient. The Vanguard representatives clustered around the displays, their professional detachment crumbling in the face of innovations their civilization had never considered. Sarah caught Admiral Joe's eye across the room and received a subtle nod of approval. The Admiral had been instrumental in keeping their true progress hidden until the perfect moment, understanding that humanity needed to prove itself through actions rather than words. The Council will need to reassess several of its assumptions about human technological development, Zelfor admitted finally. Though I must ask, why maintain the deception? Why allow us to believe you were struggling with basic repairs? Sarah stepped forward. Because you gave us this ship to teach us a lesson in humility. We decided to teach one of our own, about the danger of underestimating others based on preconceptions. And the crystal network? Another engineer asked. We installed those suppressors to prevent the power systems from functioning. Instead, you somehow turned them into amplifiers. We looked at what they could do, not what they were meant to do, Raj explained. Once we stopped trying to use them your way, we found dozens of applications you'd never considered. The same principle applied to every system on the ship. The meeting continued for hours as humans and aliens began a genuine exchange of ideas for the first time. The Vanguard's initial shock gradually transformed into genuine curiosity as they realized that humanity's primitive solutions often offered elegant alternatives to their own complex systems. Later, as the delegation prepared to depart, Selthor approached Sarah privately. The Council has authorized me to extend an offer, he said, his tone notably lacking its former condescension. We would be interested in establishing the Joint Technological Development Program. Perhaps we could both benefit from combining our different approaches. Sarah smiled. I think that could be arranged, though I hope you'll understand if we want to keep some of our innovations to ourselves, at least for now. The alien diplomat's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, but this time, Sarah recognized it as genuine amusement rather than dismissal. Of course, we did, after all, learn the hard way not to underestimate human ingenuity. After the Vanguard departed, Sarah found Raj and Maria in the Prometheus's engine room, already working on new modifications. The crystal network pulsed with steady power, its efficiency still improving as it adapted to their hybrid systems. The Vanguard's engineers are going to be studying these modifications for years, Raj said, looking up from his work. They still can't quite believe we turned their safeguards into advantages. That's because they're used to following predetermined paths, Sarah replied. They see technology as something to be mastered and controlled. We see it as something to be explored and adapted. She ran her hand along one of the crystal-infused power conduits, feeling the energy humming beneath her fingers. They gave us this ship thinking it would show us our limitations. Instead, it proved that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to look at problems differently, to find potential where others see only obstacles. The Prometheus hummed around them, its hybrid systems a testament to what could be achieved when innovation wasn't bound by convention. What had started as a diplomatic insult had become something unprecedented, a bridge between two civilizations' approaches to technology, and a reminder that true progress often came from the most unexpected places. So, Maria asked, studying their latest modifications, What impossible thing should we try next? Sarah grinned. Everything. After all, that's what humans do best. We take the impossible and make it look easy. The ship's crystal network pulsed in response, as if agreeing that the real adventure was just beginning. Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, other civilizations were about to learn what the Vanguard had discovered. Never give humans a challenge unless you're prepared to be amazed by their solution.